Welcome to today's Explainer. Today is May 11th, 2026, and if there's one massive, overarching theme to the headlines crossing the wire right now, it's absolutely cause and effect. We are looking at a deeply interconnected global landscape today. I mean, think about it. A diplomatic standoff in the Middle East is literally creating huge ripples that affect gas prices all the way over in Asia, while public health protocols on an isolated cruise ship are suddenly requiring intense, top-level international coordination. My goal today is to help you see exactly how these shifting dominoes are falling, so we can cut right through the noise and get straight to the facts. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First up, geopolitics with the US, Iran, and China. Second, the economic shockwaves hitting oil and the markets. Third, a developing health alert regarding a hantavirus outbreak. Fourth, breaking news out of the US. And fifth, global briefs covering Russia and India. Let's get to it. Let's start with Section 1, geopolitics, specifically the US, Iran, and China. As we see so often, these high-level diplomatic standoffs really set the stage for everything else happening around the globe. So let's map out the current tense deadlock between the United States and Iran. Just over the last few days, Tehran actually presented a peace proposal to end the ongoing war. But here's the catch. Their demands included war reparations and, crucially, sovereignty over the highly strategic Strait of Hormuz. U.S. President Donald Trump immediately rejected this. He called the proposal unacceptable. And because of this total impasse, the Strait of Hormuz remains effectively closed to energy shipments. It's really deepening an already incredibly tense global standoff. Now, this U.S.-Iran deadlock is the exact backdrop for the highly anticipated upcoming summit between President Trump and Chinese President Xi Jinping. The U.S. strategy right now, they want to urge President Xi to pressure Iran into making concessions. And you might be wondering, why China? Well, China holds massive leverage here because Beijing is currently the absolute biggest buyer of the Islamic Republic's sanctioned crude oil. So the reality is, the path to unblocking the Strait of Hormuz might actually run right through Beijing. Geopolitical decisions of this magnitude create huge economic ripples, which brings us directly to Section 2, economic shockwaves, oil and markets. Just take a look at this number, $103. With the Strait of Hormuz shut down and peace talks completely stalled, global energy shipments are facing severe disruptions. And as a direct result of that bottleneck, Brent crude oil prices have surged right past $103 a barrel today. That is a massive spike. And those soaring oil prices hit the financial markets almost immediately. Look at this. Negative 1,300. That's the point drop the Indian Sensex stock index just took, while the broader Nifty index simultaneously tumbled below the 24,000 mark. Because India relies so heavily on imported energy, any shock to global oil prices hits their domestic financial markets incredibly fast and incredibly hard. This really shows the real-world, on-the-ground impact of these international disputes. Reacting to the massive economic strain of the Iran war and those soaring oil prices, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has issued a direct appeal to citizens. He's asking the public to actively reduce their fuel consumption, to avoid purchasing gold, to limit foreign travel, and to work from home whenever possible. It's a really striking, nationwide push to save foreign currency and try to insulate the domestic economy from all this international volatility. Okay, we're going to pivot, clearly now, from the economy to a developing public health situation. Section 3, Health Alert, Hantavirus Outbreak. Before we get into the logistics of the response, let's set a factual baseline so we know exactly what we're dealing with. Hantavirus is a rare illness, and right now it's at the center of an outbreak aboard the MV Handy's cruise ship. Now, to be clear, and to prevent any unnecessary panic, authorities have stressed that the wider risk to the general public is low. But the situation for the passengers aboard that ship is serious, and it's requiring some very strict international coordination. So let's walk through exactly how this evacuation is unfolding. Step 1. Passengers were evacuated from the ship in Spain's Canary Islands and flown directly to a military hospital in Madrid. The personnel working this evacuation were in full, strict protective gear. Step 2, upon testing, 2 new positive cases were actually confirmed among those evacuated passengers. One is a French woman who is now isolating in Paris, and the other is an American. Which brings us to Step 3. That American patient has been safely transported back to the U.S. to be evaluated and treated at a highly specialized quarantine facility in Nebraska. Shifting our focus to domestic headlines here in the United States, we have 2 rather solemn stories to cover today in Section 4, U.S. News, Boxcar and Foxman. First, authorities are investigating a truly tragic discovery near the U.S.-Mexico border. Police are reporting that 6 individuals were found dead inside a cargo train boxcar at a Union Pacific rail yard in a Texas border town. The details are still emerging on this one, but it's a stark and devastating incident that is currently under intense investigation by both local and federal authorities.
We also received news today of the passing of a major figure in American civil rights. Abe Foxman, the fierce advocate for American Jews and the longtime head of the Anti-Defamation League, has died at the age of 86. He really spent his entire life and career as a dedicated advocate, spending decades actively combating anti-Semitism and bigotry.
Moving to our final section for today, let's round up a few more key updates from the global political chessboard in Sector 5, Global Briefs, Russia and India. Over in Moscow, President Vladimir Putin hosted the annual Victory Day parade. But reports described it as a noticeably sober event this year, conducted under exceptionally tight security because of the ongoing global tensions. Meanwhile, looking back at India's domestic politics, down in the state of Kerala, the Congress party has delayed its decision on picking a chief minister. This leadership standoff has totally opened the door for the rival BJP to take political swipes at the delay, highlighting the intense local political maneuvering that's happening even while the country faces those broader economic pressures we talked about. And rounding out the headlines across India today, we have some critical updates out of Odisha. A Rajya Sabha poll controversy is really brewing there, alongside an ongoing investigation into the Balianta mob lynching. Plus, authorities in the region are on high alert, actively preparing for a potential cyclone developing in the Bay of Bengal. And that brings us to the end of today's analysis. From closed waterways in the Middle East causing huge oil spikes in Asia to isolated cruise ships sparking global medical evacuations, it really is all connected. So I want to leave you with this thought. With global markets totally on edge and high-stakes geopolitical summits like the Trump-Xi meeting looming right around the corner, which of these shifting dominoes will fall next? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep your eyes on the data, stay curious, and I'll see you next time as we continue to break down the world around us.